no real denying that MSI have designed a beautiful looking product. The MSI PS63 Modern will definitely turn heads if you opened it up in a business meeting or even somewhere like Starbucks. The carbon coloured grey chassis looks very premium, while the blue-purple rim, branded the Galaxy rim, when caught in the right light sends a shimmer around the outside of the laptop. Now MSI really knew what they were doing here when they were making this product. So at its fattest, the laptop when closed is around 1.5 centimeters thick, which gets thinner as we move towards the front. Now there's enough room towards the back to fit your essentials like 3 USB or 3.1 ports, a headphone jack, a USB Type-C port that can be used to charge your mobile, and a headphone microphone combi jack. An Ethernet port is included on a separate dongle, which I don't really mind too much as it beats having to carry a dongle for your USB ports like with the newer Apple MacBooks. Cooling, from what I can see, is vented from the back. It draws air in from the bottom, and the rubber standoffs on the base of the actual chassis stand tall enough to let a nice amount of air flow through. Now what is really interesting though is the cooling system that MSI have implemented. They're calling it the Cooler Boost 3 technology, which uses 2 fans and several heat pipes to dissipate the heat away from the graphics card. Now one big problem I did find during my testing, however, is the fact that when under load for an extended period of time, the area where the screen meets the keyboard gets very hot and is almost untouchable. Now I would have shown you the actual cooler in a little bit more detail, but I'm not sure if you can see on the camera here, but this sticker just on the left hand side here is basically a warranty void sticker. Of course the manufacturer has to include that kind of thing, but it is a warranty void kind of sticker on there, and MSI have told us we're not allowed to open it up. So I did double check that, but I'm not allowed to open it up, so I'll flash something on the screen to show you the actual layout of the actual cooling system. So moving on to the inside of the machine, we're greeted with the same keyboard that's seated in the same carbon grey colour from the external of the laptop, and a very generous touchpad that's incredibly smooth, and much smoother than kind of this sandblasted finish of the carbon grey areas. The mouse pad is also rimmed with the same Galaxy rim, matching again the outside of the laptop, and even has a fingerprint sensor in the top right hand corner. Correction, the top left hand corner for that extra security over a password. Now the keyboard has a cool white backlight, which again fits very nicely with the whole aesthetic of the laptop, as well as a custom typeface for the keys, which is very on brand to the MSI aesthetic. There's no sign at all of any kind of tacky RGB, which in this day and age of computing is a bit of a bonus if you ask me. But then again, MSI are aiming the PS63 Modern at kind of the business executive rather than the parents' kind of basement gamer. So physically using the keyboard and mouse pad to get through my workflow was actually quite nice. The keyboard offered smooth actuation with every keystroke and required very minimal pressure to actually achieve kind of each keystroke. Now the mouse pad on the other hand was super sensitive from the box, so I had to go into the settings to dial that back a little bit, especially when I moved the cursor from kind of one side of the screen to the other. And once the sensitivity was turned down, it was fine, I had no complaints. Now the multi-touch ability on the mouse pad is also quite a nice feature to have, especially when zooming into a web page or a photo, so you don't have to physically make the web page bigger by the control plus and minus. I do however miss the number pad on the right hand side of the keyboard, but that's a sacrifice you make when choosing kind of the small form factor laptop. So inside the laptop you've got an Intel i7-8565U, which has been clocked at 1.8 GHz with a turbo boost frequency of up to 4.6 GHz. There's also 16 GB of RAM included as well. In terms of its display driver, we're treated to an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 with Max-Q design, which essentially means that it's nice and thin so they can fit inside a skinny laptop compared to something like the 1050 kind of desktop counterpart. The display can produce a high definition resolution sitting at 1920 by 1080p. It uses IPS technology, which means it can produce some lovely vivid colors when consuming media like Planet Earth 2 on Netflix, and some really nice viewing angles as well. However, the laptop screen is nowhere near as bright as others that we have tested in the past, most notably from Dell. And to be perfectly honest, if I was on kind of like a majority white web page, it was absolutely fine, but it's only when I started consuming media and watching Netflix and YouTube, things like that, that it just kept wanting to kind of push the screen a little further, make it a little bit brighter. And of course, due to its brightness, there's no HDR capability, which is pretty much a given with laptop screens at the moment. So if you're anything like me, then every time you spot an NVIDIA logo, you kind of automatically think, what kind of games will it play? Well, let me be a little bit critical here. Yes, the laptop can play games, even AAA games, but it doesn't really play them as you would expect from a high-end desktop. You're generally restricted to low to medium graphics presets in order to give you a playable frame rate. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, for example, when using the medium preset, gave us an average FPS score of 26. Metro Exodus gave us an average frame rate of 21 on its medium preset and 40 frames per second on its low preset. Assassin's Creed Odyssey gave us an average of 34 FPS on medium preset settings, and Anthem threw back frame rates that range between 25 and 30 FPS, depending on the environment you were in. And yes, Apex Legends, I knew you were going to ask about this. Apex Legends, I was getting between 40 and 50 frames per second on kind of a medium graphic setting. I had a little bit of anisotropic filtering on, and my anti-aliasing was set to TSAA. Now, I had to install MSI Afterburner to measure the FPS and temperatures, which, as I mentioned earlier, did get very hot. The highest temperature I hit was 94 degrees from my CPU during a cutscene in Anthem, and I'll also leave the various 3D Mark benchmarks that we ran on screen now. So what's really nice about the MSI PS63 laptop is its physical weight, as it only sits at 1.6 kilograms and it's really not very heavy at all. And with a small form factor charger as well, it means that it will comfortably fit into a laptop bag and won't really be a burden when carrying it around with you or kind of to or from the office. What I am confused about, however, is the fact that MSI advertised a 16-hour battery life when measured with Mobile Mark 2014, and I couldn't get anywhere near that, and I was topping out really under heavy use at just about 8 hours. Not sure where the result came from, but it feels very far-fetched. So as we're on some kind of negative vibe at the moment, I will mention the webcam, although pumping out 720p video, did get a little bit splotchy, and there is a tad too much bloatware that comes pre-installed on the machine that I immediately had to get rid of. Norton Internet Security, Norton Antivirus, I'm looking at you, pal. So one piece of software that I actually quite liked that comes with the laptop is the Creator Center, which I believe to be some kind of MSI branded piece of software. What it does is essentially track your usage and the various software that you have on the laptop and optimizes its performance. Now, when I first opened up the content creator, I saw Adobe Photoshop CC 2018, and that was the only thing installed on the actual laptop, but it gave me options to turn on the content creator for things like Premiere Pro, Corel Painter 6, Link PC Mover Professional, and there were just others on there as well. Now, it's also a good software to track your CPU, GPU, and RAM usage, as well as change the true color profile to sRGB, gamer and movie, and also switch on various functions like the quick charge USB Type-C port for mobiles, which by the way can be used even when the laptop is turned off. Also, this is where you can flick between balanced high performance modes on the laptop itself, and there's also some kind of battery saver mode on there as well. So there is definitely something to love about the MSI PS63 Modern Laptop, whether it's the beautiful design and purple blue rim, the fact that it can play AAA games, albeit not great, it can still play them, or that it's nice and light and thin to carry around with you. It's just a great laptop. The biggest down for me though is its dim screen and average battery life. Now of course there are comparable laptops like the Dell XPS 15, which has a 12-hour battery life, which is pretty decent for a laptop of this kind of size. But even still, I think those who invest in one of the MSI PS63 Modern Laptops, you're not going to be left disappointed. So thank you very much for checking out our video review of the MSI PS63 Modern Laptop. If you enjoyed this video, then do click that like button. Please do subscribe to keep up with all of our latest tech and gaming videos, and also let us know in the comments below what you think about this laptop, whether you would go for the MSI PS63 or you would rather a Dell XPS 15. Do let us know in the comments below what you think. As I say, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.